What's up, YouTube? What's good? What's good, everybody? We're going into the weekend. We got a pretty good fight tomorrow. Our sore Rung Risai is going to be fighting Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I just uploaded the breakdown for that fight. It's going to be tomorrow on the Zone at 8 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check it out because it should be a really, really good fight. I'm not going to be doing live commentary for the fight, though, unfortunately. All right. But yeah, definitely check out the breakdown of that fight. Just put it up earlier today. All right. So in this video, this will probably be the first video that I'm actually going to timestamp because there's a lot of topics I want to discuss. I want to go over some recent fights that I haven't done a breakdown or a post-fight review for. And then I'm going to go into this long list of scheduled fights coming up. There's a lot of fights. I'm not going to be able to cover all of the fights, but I'm going to try to go through as many as I can because there's a lot of stuff happening in boxing. It's pretty much cluttered with future upcoming fights. And then I also want to talk a little bit about the pound for pound rankings. I'm not going to give you a list right now, but I just want to just give you my general thoughts on where I think people or how I think people need to view it from here on based on the changes and what's going on. All right. Punch Perfect. What's up, bro? How you doing, man? I hope you're doing good. Watts Lope was good. El Chivo, what's happening? Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a lot in this video, man. There's so many fights I want to address. And before we get there, I just want to go over some of the few recent fights. Definitely been very, very busy off YouTube. And I know I've been busy because I actually did a review of the Better BF fight. And I forgot to make it public. I had checked yesterday, wondering why I didn't get any comments on the video. And I realized I had uploaded it and forgot to put it public. That is my first time ever doing that. And I'm sure that's because I've been running around doing so much. But I'm going to talk about it here in this video. I'm going to talk about Better BF and 175 and the night overall, because I did actually attend that fight and had a great time going to that fight and actually met a lot of the supporters of the channel that night. It was a lot of y'all there. Shout out to everyone that I met. And even shout out to everyone that I met at the Hall of Fame too. It's good to be going back to boxing events. All right. So let's get started, man. What's up, Zaid? What's good? Nah, just been busy. That's all, man. It's just a busy weekend. And that's pretty much it. Maker, what's happening with you? All right, so let's go through these fights real quick. I just want to go through some of these recent fights. I did check out Daniel Dubois and Trevor Bryant. I saw the fight, and to be honest, I didn't do a breakdown for the fight. I didn't really feel like it was necessary because I thought it was pretty clear who was going to win this fight. You know, I mean, I know that Dubois lost to Joe Joyce and everything, but I just never really saw. I didn't think that Trevor Bryant was any better than some of the people that that Dubois already beat. You know what I'm saying? Dubois, I think what I got out of the fight with him is that he looked a lot more calm and relaxed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see him being super reckless in there. But honestly, when I heard that they were fighting, I don't really think that Trevor Bryant is any better than Nathan Gorman, right? And I remember that I think that might have been the first Dubois fight that I ever did like a breakdown or prediction video, maybe. But Nathan Gorman, who also picked up a win recently, I didn't think that Trevor was any better than him. You know what I'm saying? I think he's at that same level. So I expected Dubois to destroy him. You know, I know that Trevor is supposedly like working on his jab for this fight, but I didn't see anything. I just wasn't really that impressed with him from jump. You know, he had a WBA title, but he wasn't fighting anyone really good. You know, I know he beat Stavern, who's been pretty washed up for a long time. I saw his last fight against a shorter opponent. I couldn't remember his name, but he had a lot of trouble in that fight. And I said, Daniel Dubois is just gonna walk through him, and he did that. You know what I'm saying? I think he caught him with a left hook in like the 4th round and put him away. It doesn't really make me feel any different about Dubois. I think the one thing I took out of that fight is that he was very calm and relaxed. He didn't look reckless. But again, I seen him calling out Dillian White. I know he's open to fight some of the best fighters out there, which is cool. And I do want to see more. But I still feel like I haven't seen that much improvement in him. I always thought he was pretty good. He has a lot of power. He puts on a lot of pressure. Very strong guy, big guy. But I still think there's some room for improvement. I think when he fights some of the more technically sound fighters that pack a punch, I think he might struggle a little bit. But Trevor Bryan, again, wasn't really thinking much of it. I thought if Dubois had lost to Bryan, I thought it was because he was just exposed, and I didn't think that was going to happen. We saw what we saw. All right, so that's really it. I really have nothing else to say. I just hope he keep moving forward and we can see another a better fight coming up soon. But I don't believe that he should be getting a title shot before Joe Joyce do. You know what I'm saying? I think he's right there in the WBA with the junior WBA title. And it's like Joe Joyce stopped him a little while ago now. And Joe Joyce is still waiting for a title shot. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about that. All right. Joshua Usyk too. Yes, I know. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in this video. I just want to breeze through some of these recent fights that I missed out on. Robeisy Ramirez stops Abraham Nova. Yo, I was at the fight. I did go to the Garden that night. And to be honest, Nova, he's a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? Seems like a pretty cool guy. I've been watching him for a minute. He's been on a lot of these top-ranked undercards for a while. Never saw anything special about him. When he got stopped, I was surprised at the stoppage, but I wasn't surprised at him losing. Okay? Ramirez, I know he lost his first fight. And to be honest, I guess he surprised me because once he went from being the 2-time Olympic gold medalist, right, that beat Shakur Stevenson. And let me tell you something. I don't know if I ever talked about that fight. Maybe I did a long time ago. I actually think that fight could have gone either way in the amateurs, And I'm only saying it now because I don't know if I've ever said it on here before. That fight could have gone either way. I'm not one of those guys. Like, I know a lot of fighters have been robbed in the amateurs and in the Olympics. And, like we all know how many American fighters have been robbed. I don't think Shakur Stevenson is one of them, regardless of his reaction to it. We all have seen it. I thought it was a very close fight. I thought it could have gone 2-1 either way. I watched it as recently as maybe like a year and a half ago. I don't know if I ever talked about it, but Ramirez is very good. And I know he came in, and to be honest, when he came in as a pro and he lost that first fight, I was like, man, I think he's going to just be one of those guys that was an amazing, amateur fighter, but just can't hold his own as a pro because we see it all of the time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I thought when he stopped Nova, I wasn't surprised. I just never was high on Nova, and being there and watching the fight live, it was clear to me that whatever that I think I was tweeting through it a little bit. It was clear to me that Ramirez, whenever he landed something clean on Nova, it bothered him. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, now he's capable of hurting him. And Ramirez is coming forward no matter what Nova landed. Ramirez just kept coming forward. And Nova eventually got hit and rocked and stopped and knocked out, basically. And shout out to everyone that's coming in. I see you guys are coming in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think Ramirez looks good. I know a lot of people want to see him rematch Shakur Stevenson. And he said from his own mouth that it's not something that he's planning on doing because Shakur has grown a lot bigger than him. And Ramirez is older and he's still at 126. He's a lot smaller. He's just not growing anymore. So some people are asking for that fight now. Stevenson is actually going to fight Conceição. That was announced today. So Ramirez is looking to fight Navarrete. And that was a good win against Nova and everything. But Navarrete is a different beast. He said he's open to fight Navarrete. All right. But I think Navarrete is already the best at 126. You got a lot of guys there. You got Mark Masayo there, of course, and you got Gary Russell whenever he returns. You got a lot of fighters there. But I think Navarrete is the toughest guy. Guys, you guys know Navarrete is my favorite fighter at the division right now. He's actually my favorite Mexican fighter outside of Canelo. So I like what he's doing. It was a good win. And I can't wait to see him back in the ring. And I'm glad that he's finally got his groove going. He took that first loss, but it's okay. It's a lot of great fighters that took losses in their first professional fight. Bernard Hopkins did, so it's not the end of the world, He looked great. What other fights I missed out? All right. I want to talk about Edgar Berlanga Berlanga is like the one guy that people love asking me to speak on. And I've made so many videos about him. And I've said the same thing over and over again. When he was getting his knockout streak, what I was saying then is it's like, okay, that's good. That's good. I like it. But can he box? What happens when he can't knock out his opponent? That happened. And we saw that he can't box really that well. He's not that good, but he's working on some things. He's trying to establish a jab and he's working on things. But he's going to be one of those guys that and he fought, and I'm bringing him up because he just fought Alexis Angulo. He bit his ear or he bit him somewhere. He got fined for $10,000 and he's suspended for 6 months. I mean, as far as a bite is concerned, obviously that's not cool. Obviously it feels like he was just frustrated. He needs a time off, maybe. Maybe the suspension is cool. Maybe he gets more time to work on some things and do some real soul searching. For him to do that against an opponent that wasn't really doing anything to him, just out of frustration. I don't get why you would bite him. You know what I'm saying? And I think all of the hype is getting to him. And we've all said this. A lot of us said that, like, what's up with the hype? It's all these celebrities is co-signing him when he was getting all those knockouts. And then when we didn't see the knockouts, it was like, okay, he's not that good. And I think a lot of it is frustrating because he gets a lot of criticism. So maybe the 6 months is better for him because he gets some time to figure himself out, work on some things in the ring, prepare. You know what I'm saying? I just don't feel like that kid. I think he's been kind of exposed and I don't think he's taking it well. And then here's another fight where he's kind of like just looking real basic. And I think that bite has something to do with that. All right. I think he won the fight, but I don't think he looked good. And I think the judges' scorecards, maybe not all of them, I can't remember the scorecards, but I thought like maybe one or two of their scorecards was a little too wide. I thought the fight was a lot more competitive than what the scorecards say. So that's how I feel about him. I don't think he's that good, but I've been saying it for a minute. I don't think he's that good. And I think he's one of those guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think he's one of those guys that's going to need a lot of fights before getting a title fight. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fighters that fought a lot of times. Look at Deontay Wilder. He fought how many fighters in a row and KO'd them? But they kept. Now, I think there's a difference. I think they should put him in there with some good boxers, so he can box. But he's going to take a long time. I don't want to see his name attached to Canelo or Benavidez or any of these top guys at 168 anymore. Let's stop that. I think we all stopped that already. But I still believe that he needs more time before he start fighting the very elite, at 168. Whether he gets knockouts or not, he needs more time. He needs to develop more. And you know what? It might not matter. Maybe he's at his limit. We won't know. We don't know. All right. I'm happy he's at least working on some things, but he needs to get the hype out of his head and stay focused, because all the celebrity stuff, I think that kind of made him fall off a little bit, from his true potential, if he has it. But it's all potential. I think him getting co-signed by all these celebrities was just not a good look. Not so early in his career, especially before the real fights came. Him versus Morrell. No, I don't even think Morrell. I know Morrell only has like 7 fights. No. Morrell is better than him already. He is. I know he doesn't have the hype and people don't know him that well. But Morrell is better than him already. You know what I'm saying? Like, them Cuban fighters, man, they come here with a lot of experience. It's just that some of them get stuck with the whole amateur style of fighting, but he's not that fighter. He's a hitter. Baker says everyone want to be a star. But you know what? To be honest, it's a real thing. It's realistic. When you get into fame, you're getting co-signed. You get co-signed by all these celebrities, it does boost your ego. You know what I'm saying? It does boost your ego. The lifestyle is different, man. The money is different. When everywhere you go, all the places, people know who you are. It's different. It could get to your head a little bit. I think now with this suspension, he needs to turn it down a notch, because in a lot of people's eyes, and I'm telling you, because I live in New York, and I'm telling you, based on what people are saying, a lot of people who are familiar with him ain't feeling him like that no more. And this is what I'm just being honest with him and how I feel about him. People are not really feeling him like that. Simone, I just did a breakdown for Bam and Rumgasai, so check it out. I just uploaded it today. All right. Check it out. I just did it. All right. So let's move on. So let's talk 175. Better BF. Joe Smith Jr. All right. The video that I made and actually recorded it, but forgot to put it public. So I'm going to talk about it here. First of all, the event was great. It was a great 9 of fights. The arena, it felt like a super fight in there. I know we were just in the Hulu theater part of the Garden, but it was live in there, and it's usually like that when a native New Yorker fights. Joe Smith Jr., you would think that it felt like Manny Pacquiao or Canelo was in there. Like, people were hyped up, definitely supporting Joe, for real. It was dope. Unfortunately for him, he got demolished. And there was nothing he could really do. Like, after watching the fight, I feel like there was nothing he could really do. I think he came out being very aggressive, and he walked into a lot of shots. I think a lot of people were comparing Joe Smith to Callum Johnson and what they would have to do, or what he would have to do to win this fight. You got to understand, like, Better BF got caught. He got clipped, but Better BF made the mistake of being too aggressive towards a guy that was coming at him. So there was a point where, if you watch back fight, go back and watch it. And I did do that. There was a point where Better BF got clipped in between the punches, because he was being a little too reckless and not cautious. Any other point in that fight, he was very cautious because he knew he was in there with a puncher. He got rocked. Joe Smith Jr., though, on the other hand, came right towards him, and Better BF went into a different mode to where he becomes the boxer. Now, the thing is, Joe Smith likes to throw wide shots, man. He likes to throw wide shots, and Better BF is more based on the short shots right down the middle, the short counters. And watching it, we can sit here and talk about what Joe should have done. To be honest, after watching that fight, if you really think about it, Joe only really had a puncher's chance. Because stylistically, Better BF is a nightmare for him. Because as durable as Joe Smith is, you are fighting the most dangerous puncher in the division. Plus a guy that his style and the way he throws those short shots on the inside, the strength that he has, it doesn't matter how durable you are because you can't take that many punches like from a guy that punches that way. You know what I'm saying? He was just way too easy to hit. And there was really nothing he can do. He's never had the greatest jab. His jab was always kind of like, I'm just using it to set up the right hand, or I'm just using it to close the gap and get on the inside, get in range. It was never like a real, powerful jab or a jab to keep the distance. You know what I'm saying? Joe ain't that kind of guy. Joe ain't the guy that's fighting on his back foot. Joe only had one plan. Joe went in there and he was hyped up, and he went in there and fired it straight and brought the fight straight to Better BF. But Better BF has a whole different gear that he can go to. And even though we saw that in the Callum Johnson fight, we saw that there, but Callum Johnson was actually way more cautious, because if you watch that fight, even though he got clobbered too, at least he was keeping that guard real tight. You know what I'm saying? He was keeping that guard tight, where Joe was getting punched with every punch that Better BF threw. I mean, I don't know. What's up, Gary, man? Jerry Pleasant says, glad to meet you at MSG, even if it was at the end. Next time, I'll pay attention to who I'm sitting next to. Oh, yeah. I was sitting next to Jerry the whole time, and it wasn't until I got up when he recognized me. That was fun. Nice to meet you too, man. And shout out to everybody else that I met that night. It was a good night. Jerry will tell you it was a great, like, the energy was crazy. It was very loud. Just the production and everything, the way everything was set up was real good in there. It's always good in there, like I said, when the native New Yorkers fight. But I don't know, it felt real special that night. It would have been nice if Joe was able to pull off the win. If he had pulled off the win like that in New York, that would have been crazy. It would have been crazy in there. But it is what it is. Better BF is just too good. And when it comes to 175, Anthony Yard was there, by the way. Anthony Yard was there, and he came out to New York, and he made his comments. He wanted the winner of this fight. He's going to get the winner of the fight. And no, Eddie, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't that. I was disappointed in the sense that the energy in the arena was so live, and so many people came to, like, it was crowded in there, and so many people came to support Joe. That would have been a good night for New York, And Better BF just beating up all the New Yorkers. I mean, he just beat up Marcus Brown. He beat up Joe Smith Jr. Better BF is tough. I wasn't disappointed. I just wanted a crazy upset win, and being there with a guy that's from New York. I was rooting for Joe because of the New York bias, of course, but I knew, like, Better BF is on a different level. He's on a different level from all of these guys. I mean, the one fight that I need really is the Bevo fight. But yeah, let's speak on that. because Yard was in the building and Yard made his comments. And listen, I like Yard. I don't think Yard is gonna beat him, but I do like Yard's chances against Better BF better than Marcus Brown and Joe Smith Jr. You know, I don't think Marcus Brown was being aggressive enough. It was more like survival and just playing it smart, which is what he did. You know what I'm saying? He's very slick and he knew how to survive, and his defense was good, you know, and that's part of the reason why he went through the rounds. All right. Always been kind of chinny, but protected himself long enough, moved a lot. Um, just wasn't doing enough to really win rounds like that. You know, he did some good points. He was able to smother Better BF's offense a little bit. So in that sense, Marcus Brown did well, but Brown wasn't doing enough to actually win. Joe Smith came out. He's the total opposite. No defense, no slickness, no survival. Just, I'm going to just go at you and bring the fight straight to you recklessly. I think Anthony Yarr is a little bit in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So Anthony Yarr has the power to where you don't want to just keep getting hit by him. But he has that little bit of slickness too. Not as good of a defender as Marcus Brown is, but he's a good counterpuncher. He's going to come in. He's not going to be reckless. And good thing for him is, being that he doesn't have much of a jab, it's not like he's fighting Kovalev. Better BF is dangerous and more dangerous than Kovalev right now, or when Yard fought him. But Better BF don't have the jab that Kovalev has. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's going to be as hard to get to Better BF. The problem is Better BF is so powerful, man. He's very strong. I don't think he's just a puncher. I think he's physically strong. You know, this is a guy that wants to still fight as a heavyweight at some point. And he fought as an amateur much heavier than where he's fighting now. I think Yard, in some ways, is dangerous because I think he'll do better at applying that power, you know? But defensively, I don't really know, you know, as the fight goes on and continues, I don't know how his stamina is going to be. I don't know if he can maintain the fact that he got burnt out against Kovalev, who was much older than him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, I know he looked good against Lyndon Arthur in a rematch, but that's a different fighter. You know what I'm saying? Yard basically did in that rematch what he was supposed to do in the first fight. So even though I give him mad props for doing what he did against Arthur in that second fight, he was supposed to do that in the first fight. It should have never been a loss for him. You know, he tried to do it, but I think mentally he's still learning. Not a lot of amateur fights, not a lot of pro fights. He's still learning on what he's capable of doing. So I thought in that first Arthur fight, coming off the Kovalev loss where he got tired, he went in there and tried to preserve his stamina for a long time, and he didn't start throwing more punches until later in the fight, and it was too late. He already lost. He lost on points. So I think he's starting to find himself a little bit more. He's definitely have to find that area where, you know, you don't want to waste too many punches. You know, you got to learn how to fight in spurts or you'll get burnt out. But you got to put your foot on the gas at the same time. You know, I think what he did in the Arthur fight was good in a rematch, but you can't come at Better BF the same way. Not that kind of pressure, because you still gotta, you are fighting the biggest puncher in the division, but also in the sport right now. Not even not right now, but he's been a top 5 puncher in the sport for years. He's been that. One foot out the door says, just wanted to show some support. Great channel. And thank you. Appreciate you. Been supporting for a while. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I like the Yard fight, but I want the Bivol fight. I don't know what Bivol is going to do. You know, Canelo's fighting Triple G, obviously. That might be another rematch we might get in the future, but Bivol might fight Ramirez, and I think he should fight Ramirez. Ramirez has been wanting to fight for a long time, and I want to get that. And I know it's a dangerous fight because Ramirez is huge. He's a big guy, but yo, man, people are putting you in a pound for pound. You got to show that you pound for pound. The Canelo win was a great win, but you still got to hold it down in your division, and I want undisputed. I wish we were getting that next. But at the same time, yo, if we're not gonna get it, if Yard is better be as mandatory, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. All right. Yes, Bivol and Ramirez is a close fight. Ramirez is big, and that does play a factor. Ramirez is a very big fighter. All right. Shout out to everyone that's coming in. Make sure you smash that like button. All right. So let's move forward. Let's go on and talk about these upcoming fights. All right, so there's a bunch of them that it's like this exhibition thing is like you got all these fights that's supposed to be coming up and they're working on, and then we got some real fights, some real good fights. All right, we got Luis Ortiz and Andy Ruiz. That's a good fight. It should have happened by now, but it's a good fight because we got Joshua and Usyk too. They finally had a press conference. I saw it. Joshua was with Robert Garcia now. I'm looking to see what he's learned from all of these trainers over this time. All right. You got Stevenson and Caseso. They're gonna fight. I think that's a pretty good fight. Two really good boxers. A lot of people believe Caseso beat Oscar Valdez. All right, you got that fight. You got Canelo and Triple G 3. The press conference was today, just a little while ago. And then you got all these other fights here. Oh, you got Michael Mckinson against Virgil Ortiz, which is good. I'm looking forward to that. We were supposed to get it, but Virgil Ortiz pulled out because of an injury. And Michael Mckinson went on to fight another fighter that he won. I did watch most of that fight. But I'm looking forward to seeing Virgil Ortiz back in the ring because, for someone that's really active, I believe this is the longest period of him not fighting. And I think he's one of those top young fighters. He needs to keep the fights active because, he has a lot of buzz. But when you stay inactive and you got Ennis, Ennis been really cooking. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lose that buzz. So you could do what you gotta. You got Stan Jonas. You got other guys that's on the come up that's making moves, getting good fights too. So I'm glad to see Virgil Ortiz back in the game. And then you got all these other fights. You got Jake Paul fighting Tommy Fury. And to be honest, at this point, I'm a little bit interested in that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little hyped up for that. Out of all of the Jake Paul fights, even with Tyron Woodley, I guess I was a little hyped up for that. I did cover that fight. But I am a little curious about this fight because Tommy Fury is an actual boxer, but he doesn't have much more experience than Jake Paul. All right. Doesn't have a long amateur background. And I don't think he's that good. Outside of his name being what's it called? He's being a Fury. I don't really think he's that good. I watched him fight enough, and I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good. Jake Paul, I don't know. It's like I never really cared for him, but now that he's like actively fighting. And when his fights are happening, it's going to be a Showtime pay-per-view. Everyone kind of seems to be tuned in with it. And I think it's because a lot of people want to see him lose. I just don't know, because I still feel that Jake Paul might be better than the fighters that we seen Tommy fight. You could make that argument. I didn't see Tommy fight anyone that was really that good. And Jake Paul obviously haven't really fought a legit boxer. He fought a championship level, UFC fighter. What up, James? What's good, bro? Yeah. YouTube Boxer Streets missed you, fam. Yeah, it's been a little bit, but I'm back on it. And you know how real life is. Real life gets a little too busy. I had to take a little week or two break. I'm back. Shout out to Boxer Gems. You guys already know to subscribe to him. But I am interested in the fight, though. I am, and I will watch the fight. Yeah. Katie Taylor, they're in talks of making a fight between her and Chris Cyborg. And the same with Mayweather and McGregor. They might be fighting again for a second time. Look, when it comes to these crossover fights, when Fury was talking about fighting, what's his name? Ngannou. When he was talking about fighting him, look, I really don't have a problem with it if you don't have any work to get done. There's nothing left for you to do. Do whatever you want. When it comes to the exhibition thing, I don't really care. Katie Taylor, when I first heard the news, I was like, I didn't like it. But when I thought about it, I'm like, well, Serrano didn't really want to fight her in a rematch. A lot of people feel Serrano won. That could have been an immediate rematch. But if Serrano really doesn't want the fight, and Serrano is going on to fight someone else, Katie Taylor has nothing else to prove to me, to be honest. And I know she just got a good payday. If she could even get a bigger payday with this Chris Cyborg, because Cyborg is one of the greatest female MMA fighters of all time. Regardless of how you feel about, steroids and all of that, listen, it is what it is. Katie Taylor, I really don't have a problem with that fight. I sat back and I almost reacted to it, but then I thought about it. I'm like, Katie really doesn't have anything left for me. So I'm cool with it. Get that bag. And again, Mayweather and Conor McGregor, listen, like I said before, I think the only thing that was weird about the first fight was that he applied it to his actual boxing record. It was just an exhibition, but he actually made it his 50th win, I believe. So in that sense, I was kind of disappointed. But as far as Mayweather doing what he wants to do, like he just fought some guy a few weeks ago, Mayweather could do whatever he wants. Why he's doing it? That's on him. Maybe he just missed the limelight. He wants people to keep talking about him. Maybe it's because he needs some money. People are saying that maybe he's broke. I really don't know. It's really not my business on why Floyd continues to take these exhibitions. But I mean, if there's a couple $100 million on the table to fight Conor McGregor, why not take it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Why not? I know he said recently he's making like 300 million a month or something. I don't know if any of that's true. Do I believe it? No, but I don't really care what Mayweather says in his interviews. You know what I'm saying? What he did as a boxer is cemented. I know a lot of people want to take that away, but what he's done as a boxer is cemented forever. What he decides to do in these exhibitions, that's his business, man. There's nothing else that I want for Floyd personally. So if he wants to go, there's plenty of older boxers that's still doing exhibitions. You know what I'm saying? Um, Devin Alexander is about to fight DeMarcus Corley. You know, like Julio Cesar Chavez is still senior and still fighting exhibitions. You know, not too long ago, Cotto was going to fight Marquez. Like, these guys could do what they want to do. They could do what they want. I have no problem with it. You know, so I skipped over the fact that Gerald Miller made his return. Gerald Miller came back. He fought last night. I saw the picture of how he looked. I saw a picture. I saw him at the weigh-in, and I saw a little bit of the fight, just a little bit. I wasn't gonna watch the whole thing because I already knew it went the distance. Look, man, Gerald Miller, and I've said this before. The last time I spoke with him is probably when he got suspended again, when he got caught again after the Joshua. You know, I think the next fight, I think, was it Bob? I think Bob Oram tried to take a chance with him, and he popped again. And listen, man, at this point, man, just stop cheating, man. You know, stop juicing. You got caught. I don't even know what he's really capable of as a fighter. I don't even know, because it was very suspicious for you to be 300 pounds and throwing that many punches. You know what I'm saying? To have that punch output and be that big, it always seems suspicious to me. But I don't even know what he's capable of, because it doesn't seem like he wants to really train without having those PDs. You know what? I don't even know what he's really capable of. I would have to see. I mean, he picked up a win. He was back in the ring, and that's cool. But the guy he fought last night is not on the level of the guys that he was fighting before he got caught. So he just got to stay dedicated. You know, enough of the funny stuff. Like, get back in shape for real. You shouldn't be weighing 340 pounds. Shouldn't be weighing that. You know, 300 was a lot. Get yourself back down to 280, bro. Get yourself back down to 280 and let's talk. But the longer he keeps staying or keep getting bigger, no one's going to pay attention to you, man. And you never know, man. If he had made it to that Joshua fight, maybe he would have won that night instead of Andy Ruiz. But he lost opportunity because he was juicing. But then again, if he wasn't juicing, would he have even gotten that position? How many fights has he been juicing for? We don't know. You know, but when you get caught now, we have to start thinking, especially when you get caught. You didn't get caught of traces amount or something. You got caught with 3 different drugs at one time. You know? Yeah, he was 340 last night. Well, so his legacy is nothing but PEDs. Eddie, his legacy is PEDs and nothing more. Because he didn't pick up any big wins. You know, at least if he made it to Joshua and possibly won the fight and got caught later, we would have just been like, all right, well, he still beat Anthony Joshua, even though he cheated. You know, he didn't get to Joshua. So I don't know, man. I'm disappointed. You know what it is? I think I'm disappointed because he's from New York too. I'm just disappointed because as far as the heavyweights right now, oh man, like we have Trevor Bryant and Gerald Miller. You know, hopefully some of these younger guys can come up and do something, you know. But I mean, damn, like American heavyweight, the American heavyweights right now is just not a good look right now. Just a few up and coming guys, but you know, Jared Miller really dropped the ball. Not that I was saying that I was sitting here hoping that he was gonna be the next big thing, but he got close. You know, he got kind of close. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Anderson is a great prospect at heavyweight. All right. 341. Yo, so $10 million worth of cheeseburgers. Yeah, you guys are going in on Jared Miller right now. And you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is, man. I'm not expecting much. He needs a juice. I think somebody said that in the comments. I actually believe that I think he needs it. You know, to be honest, I don't think he's dedicated enough to cut down to like 260 or 280. I don't think he's dedicated enough. You know, real talk. uh yeah. So let's move on, man. Let's talk about these upcoming fights, man. Uh I like Luis Ortiz against Andy Ruiz. The way I look at that fight, though, Andy Ruiz is past it in the sense that he hasn't been motivated since he beat Joshua. And Luis Ortiz is past it because he's just really old. How far, who, at this point, I'm not really sure. I feel like Luis Ortiz can still beat Andy Ruiz right now. I'd rather take the older guy than the unmotivated guy. That's the way I look at that fight. Ortiz got dropped a couple times against Charles Martin. Um, I think with him getting older, I think the first thing to go was his chin a little bit. You know, he doesn't seem to be the most durable fighter, and I've seen him get rocked by a few other guys. I've seen him fight Christian Hammer, and the Barclays, and I seen even Christian Hammer rocked him a little bit with a couple of the shots he landed. I think Andy is definitely capable of hurting Luis Ortiz, but I also believe that Luis Ortiz is also capable of hurting Andy Ruiz and beating him to a decision. Luis Ortiz, as much as you know he could be hurt, it's not like Andy Ruiz. I mean, Andy Ruiz got dropped by Chris Arreola, and I think Luis Ortiz would beat Arreola. I'm leaning towards Ortiz. You know, I'm leaning towards it. I just whoever wins, I hope they look impressive because I think the winner of this can still be used for some sort of fight. So whoever wins, I hope it's done in an impressive fight in fashion. I mean, all in all, I want a great fight, but I just want one of these winners to win and look very good winning because I still feel that one of the two can give us a good fight. If Andy's going to win, they can always use him for somebody else, like if Wilder wants to return or whoever, you know. And it's same with Luis Ortiz. I'm still like kind of disappointed that Luis Ortiz didn't really get another. He didn't really fight anybody else. And I know a lot of it wasn't his fault. Some of it is his fault. Some of it isn't his fault. But you know, I kind of want somebody else to be on his resume, to be honest, besides losing to Wilder. I want him to have a really good one. I think to some of the other ones, like I think Charles Martin, let me look him up real quick. I think Charles Martin might actually be his best win. His best win is Charles Martin, in my opinion. David Allen, decent. Malik Scott, decent. Tony Thompson, decent. Brian Jennings knockout was good. I think Brian Jennings wins was the best win up to this point. Yeah. Brian Jennings. Absolutely. But yeah, I think it's a 50-50. You know, I think I think Ruiz can definitely hurt him, and I think Ortiz can hurt him too. You know, hopefully with Ruiz, hopefully he's motivated. Hopefully he's in shape, and yeah, I think if he wants to really have another opportunity to get a big pay-per-view, and I think there's more star power with him because of the fact that he was that big chubby guy that knocked out Anthony Joshua. I think there's more potential with him, you know. So I think but I also believe I'm still leaning a little towards Ortiz for now. All right. Um Chisora and Pulev too. Are they actually fighting again? Who wins that? Oh, that's a good question. I remember the first one. I thought that Pulev won the first fight pretty easily. I think Chisora is like that guy where like he can get beaten easily or he can knock you out, you know? Pulev, I don't know how much he has left. I've been seeing some of his Triller fights. I mean, he still looks pretty good. I'm still leaning towards Pulev, man, for now. Yeah, I'm gonna lean with Pulev. Yes, Pulev won just with the jab. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Pulev still. They are gonna rematch and whatever, you know. All right. So what else we got? What else we got? Joshua. Let's talk about Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. Their rematch is coming up. They just had their press conference, right? And I was watching it, and Usyk looked very intense. First of all, he looked a lot better than what he did like a couple months ago. That video that kind of went, that interview he did when the Ukraine war started, and his face was kind of sunken in, like he lost all that weight. Um, that was disturbing to watch. But when he was at the press conference the other day, he looked a lot more healthy. So he gave this cold stare down to AJ. We never see Usyk look that intense. I'm not really, with me with the stare downs, it really doesn't do anything for me. Especially when a fighter is known to be very disciplined already. I don't think Usyk is coming into this fight wanting to be better than what he's been before because he's always good. So I'm not really buying that. I think Joshua is the one where we got to see what he's going to be. Usyk, we already know how great he is. We already know he's capable, what he's capable of. We know that he has the ability to make adjustments. Hold on. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. All right, so what was I saying? Usyk Joshua. Um, Usyk has always been very disciplined. You know what I'm saying? So I can't, when I see him giving Joshua a stare down, I don't really think that it means anything. You know what I'm saying? Whew, I had to run. Joshua has a new coach. He's going to be working with Robert Garcia. So I kind of want to see what he's going to do. I still believe that the pressure is on him. You know, I think I don't even, you know what, at this point, Joshua has done so much since that loss that I don't even know, like, I don't even know with, you know, with the coach situation, he's had more than enough time to work on whatever he wants to fix. So the pressure is going to be on him. And I don't even know if it's still going to be effective because Usyk is really the better talent to me. You know, I think if it was a fight between two guys that are really equal in size, Usyk is just better. But Joshua being a big natural heavyweight, Joshua, that size should be an advantage for him, you know? I don't know, but Joshua's going to have to do something different in his fight. He's going to have to bring a little bit of the old with the new. A lot of people say that Joshua has changed over the years. You know, Joshua doesn't fight the same way that he used to. You know? So I don't think the pressure is on Usyk at all. I think the pressure is on AJ. I think whatever, you know, if AJ is going to come and be more aggressive this time around, I think that Usyk could do fine against that. You know, Usyk has fought guys that are bigger than him, that brought pressure towards him, and he was able to manage just fine, you know, even before going pro. We've seen enough of it. So it's really all on Joshua. What is Robert Garcia what did James Ali Bashir can do? Like, what are all of these coaches that Joshua have came across over the past year? What have he learned from those? And how can he apply what he's learned in this past year to the next fight? The pressure is really on him. He's the one that lost. You know, and even if you're able to apply some of those things, like, can you stick to it in an actual fight? What happens to Joshua if things are not working for him? Or is he going to abandon whatever game plan he had? What is he going to do? We just got to wait and see. You know, it's like, yo, you could go to all these coaches and learn all of these things. You could take classes. You could get your degree on whatever. What's gonna happen when you're in that ring? Like, mentally, are you gonna be strong enough to stick by what's working? It's a game plan to stick to whatever you're working, like, or whatever you prepare for. Are you gonna be able to stick by that if things is kind of going left? You know, some fighters, they have a game plan, and the first few rounds it's not working. But as the fight goes on, that same game plan is starting to work a little bit better, you know, with time. Is it going to work for Joshua this time around? I don't know. We just got to wait and see. We got to wait and see. But yeah, I saw the press conference. I don't really think much of stare downs and stuff like that. Like, that stuff is just like, it's a fight at the end of the day. You know, I don't really care about who's this, who's, you know, like, you know, I just don't feel like it's a big deal. It's more about what happens on the night of the fight. All right. Canelo and Triple G, their press conference was today. I've spoken on this fight several times already. You know, Canelo seems to be really bothered by Triple G, based on comments that he's made, and just based on, you know, just overall, he doesn't like the fact that he still has to deal with Triple G. All right. He feels that he won the rematch. He wants to move on with his career. He's never been interested in fighting Triple G. We know that the Zone has always wanted this fight. They've been pushing for this fight. You know, Triple G has been pushing for this fight. He said, and he made a lot of comments about Triple G, about how, you know, he plays it off like he's some nice guy, but then he does a lot of talking. Look, man, the guy feel like he, you know, he at least he at the very minimum. Let's just look at the timeline on this fight. Very controversial decision in the first fight. All right, the second fight, I'm not talking about the actual second fight. I'm talking about the drama of leading to that second fight with the whole the clenbuterol thing, right? You had that. They had to postpone the fight. You have the rematch. Canelo wins the fight, and you know that's the end of it. You know, I mean, regardless of how you feel about these two fights, because we got to keep talking about it. And I was tweeting about this earlier. Some of you that follow me on Twitter saw what I tweeted. There's a judge that thought Triple G only won 2 rounds. 2 rounds. There's a judge that scored it 118 to 110. So this thing about it, like if it was you in a situation where you feel like you were unfairly judged, regardless if you think Canelo won both fights, 118 to 110, you can't be serious. 118 to 110, there's no way you could look at that fight and think that Triple G only won 2 rounds. So if the guy wants to have another fight, make the fight. You know, I mean, I personally said to you guys, the only reason why I don't want to see the fight like that is because Golovkin is 40. You know, Canelo has looked better since their second fight. You know, he's taken on better fights. He's looked impressive. He's done more. I feel like he's just now hit his prime. Triple G is a little past it. He's still very good. So me personally, I don't care to see it simply because I want to see other fights. Now, the deal was Bivol and Triple G. Well, I thought Bivol was a great fight or opponent. That was a great challenge for me. It was better than whatever the PBC had to offer. I think the PBC would try to offer, I don't know, a Charlo and Benavidez fight. I can't remember the 2-fight deal that they were trying to offer. And I know they were offering a lot of money. But the Zone got the Bivol and Triple G 3 fight, which, again, I personally would rather see, Canelo fight someone that we haven't seen. Just because even though Triple G is still very good, I already seen the fight twice. I know exactly what Canelo would need to do to win that fight because we've seen it already. You know, we've seen it in a rematch. So, you know, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't hate the fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight still. I don't think Triple G is gonna get stopped. You know, I still think it's gonna be a good fight. I just think it's gonna be more clear. My prediction is Canelo to win more clear than the second fight. I don't think Canelo won the first fight. All right. I don't even think the first fight was a draw. I thought Triple G just won, you know, but I think this third fight is going to be a little bit close. I mean, well, not as close as the rematch. The rematch could go either way. You know, I was cool with Canelo winning the decision. You know, I was absolutely fine with that. You know, it was a good fight. It was a great fight. It was the best fight that year. All right. So yeah, that's how I feel on that. And eventually I'll do another breakdown. And last but not least, Virgil Ortiz is fighting Michael Mckinson again. That was a fight that we were supposed to get. I mean, it's a good fight. Michael Mckinson is very tricky, very awkward. But he's not a puncher. And I believe he's a southpaw as well. I believe Mckinson, let me look him up. Sorry about that. I think Michael Mckinson is a southpaw. Okay. So he's like a tricky southpaw, you know, very quick, not power, not a lot of power. He only has 2 KOs. All right. 22 professional fights, 22 wins, undefeated, only 2 KOs. He's not old. He's 28 years old. But he has yet to be in a ring with any world level type fighter. Yes, definitely hit the like button. Virgil Ortiz is going to be able to deal with him, in my opinion. I think what makes this fight is that Mckinson is quick. He's a good counterpuncher. He's very awkward. He's very tricky. But when you don't have the power to keep a guy like Ortiz away, you know, Ortiz has already been in there with Hooker. He's been in there with Kavaliauskas. He's been in there with more. He's been in there with guys that's done more already. Like, look. He has Hooker. He has Samuel Vargas on there. He has Brad Solomon on there. Antonio Orozco's been on there. Mauricio Herrera's on there. Ortiz has been in there with some good fighters. Mckinson, yes, brings a little bit something new because of the fact that he is that tricky southpaw style, but it's not something that I think is going to be too much trouble for Virgil Ortiz Jr. All right, so that's just my opinion on that. It's a good fight, and it's a good way to get active again, coming off of the injury, and these guys are closing in. It's close. We're all closing in because at welterweight, because you got all of the guys like Ortiz and Stanionis. All of these guys are one fight away from a title fight, and we don't really have no choice but to have Spence and Bud fight each other now, because if they don't, they're gonna have to defend their titles against somebody else. You know, and all these other guys is very dangerous. You know, Stanionis is dangerous. Boots is dangerous. Virgil Ortiz is dangerous. So, you know, we got to get it done. All right. Oh, yes. And I would love Stanionis for Ennis. All right. So anyway, yo, that's my show for today, man. I just really needed to catch up with you guys from the last couple weeks. And definitely check the breakdown out for our Bam Rodriguez against Sorovan Risai. That's tomorrow. So that fight is tomorrow, and I won't be covering it live, but the breakdown is out. All right. More breakdowns is on the way. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button, share the video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a good weekend. Peace.